to the Acsom Bulletin on this Tuesday afternoon. The trio is back after another Celtic victory, and the transfer window has slammed shut. So you don't need to listen to myself, Patrick, and Lawrence predict who might come in the door, who might leave. We know what we've got, and we know what we're moving forward with. Patrick, how are you? We didn't see you last week.
I'm good. I'm well. Looking forward to the game tomorrow night. Delighted with the results since I've last been on 13 days ago. Good performances, good results, good transfers as well. So excited.
Lawrence, when you were on last Tuesday, we were looking forward to that game at Tynecastle the following day. There was obviously the Dundee United game in between that and today's bulletin. What's your take been in the two big victories? Through to Tynecastle and win. That's those games out the way. We hope, even post-split, really we shouldn't be going there again. And we've got another tricky game out against Dundee United at Celtic Park and came away with a maximum 6 points.
Listen, Tynecastle's always a hard place to go to. It was just about getting 3 points. And the same against United at home, but what a way to do it. Score in the 90th minute when you've got 10 men. No, the team just keeps going on, just keeps winning. We should get some returnees back into the building. Maybe not in time for tomorrow's game, but we'll see. We'll see if we get a cameo maybe from Maeda or Roger, who knows. But it's just brilliant, to get full points again. And obviously with the Newco slipping up, it puts it back in their own hands. We'll win tomorrow, we're top of the league.
Yeah, win tomorrow, we're top of the league. It's as simple as that, Patrick. The two victories, Patrick, have not been the prettiest. There was concern, I think, from us all after the Alloa game in terms of some of the injuries that we picked up, international duties. But with what we've got, we've certainly came through these two games and showed a real good bit of strength and character, which should hopefully carry us through into the game tomorrow. And obviously we're in momentum. I think it's something like 20 out of 23 wins or something Celtic's on just now in all competitive competitions. That can only do us real good. And I think last week through at Tynecastle, we held our nerve throughout the game. Yeah, it wasn't the prettiest of performances, but we came away with the all important 3 points, and that was what really mattered. And on Saturday again, we keep on going. That Ange video that we all picked up on, that we all really bought into, was we keep going to the end, and we did go to the end on Saturday, and again get the breakthrough eventually. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't the prettiest of performances, but I thought first half at Tynecastle were phenomenal at times. Thoroughly deserving of our 2-0 lead. And then, it's been highly criticised, the last 30 minutes we seem to drop off in games, which is a bit concerning, but we certainly didn't do that against Dundee United. I mean, people were saying we get lucky. I don't think we did get lucky. I think we had 8 shots on target, 8 shots off target, and 4 shots blocked, so thoroughly deserved to win the game. I don't think they had a shot on target, Dundee United. And then to score with 10 seconds of normal time to go, it shows that we keep on going, whether we're tired or not. And I think the substitutions helped, if I'm being honest. Jota, Juranovic, Taylor coming on. I think that really helped us, gave us a boost. And I think they're arguably better players than what we had in the park at the time. With Taylor and Scales, there's not a lot in it, but I think Juranovic and Jota's a big upgrade on Ralston and Forrest, in my opinion. And as you say, the momentum's all with us. And it's hard to quantify momentum. And, people say form doesn't matter going into these types of games, but I think it does. I think when you're, I don't want to say we're riding a wave, but when you're the one with confidence, you're the one with the results behind you, I think it can all be a good thing.
Yeah, certainly, the momentum is with us just now. On that point, Lawrence, Patrick talks about, the stats in both games. I know Hearts got a penalty from John Beaton last week, but, Lane Boyce steps up and misses it.
I was shocked.
I can imagine you were shocked. But, we held our nerve in the game. We had chances after that, though. It's thinking about the one that Forrest probably should have squared and could have made things a lot more easier for ourselves. Again, on Saturday, you could point to that Giakoumakis chance, which I think everybody's, was just in shock how it didn't go into the back of the net. But we do create chances in games, Lawrence. That's not been a concern for me. I don't know about yourself, but we do create chances. It's not as if we're just, getting 1 or 2 chances in games. We're continually creating chances, and I thought the tempo, certainly on Saturday, we came out after the second half, went up a good few notches. And as Patrick touches on there, I thought certainly the substitutions, I point to Juranovic and Jota, just gave the team a whole new energy, which seemed to be lacking a wee bit on Saturday afternoon.
listen, Ange's philosophy, don't concede chances and create lots of them, and you'll win games. So we kind of play like that, don't we? We don't very really concede chances and we create lots. I thought Ben Doak, I'd be starting him tomorrow night. I thought he was brilliant. He gave us a bit more width than Maeda. His pace is electric. I think the Rangers' defence is fairly slow. You put him out in the right, I just think that boy's going to be a star. Hopefully we can get him signed up. Hopefully Liverpool don't turn his head. But yeah, for me, Taylor, come on, I thought that was probably Scales' worst game for us so far. I was expecting maybe a few more deliveries or better deliveries from Scales. I just thought he was a bit laboured. Juranovic, I think, is a better player than Ralston. So hopefully giving those two kind of a bit of time off has kept them, means they're a bit fresher for tomorrow night. Upfield, it's just Giacomakis. He's getting chances. His control, his first touch isn't there, is it? I'm not too sure if he scores that chance that Abada gets. I don't think if it falls to Giacomakis, he scores. I know Siegrist did a couple of good saves, but I think Ange just said that he needs to do better, doesn't he? We're looking for a better goal return from him. We all want him to do better, but right now I don't think, if Kyogo was available tomorrow, I don't think it's even a choice, is it? You want him to be able to put pressure on the boys in front of him, and unfortunately, so far his performances haven't shown that. Although, he had a nice finish against Alloa and nice against Hearts, but we just want more from him, don't we? And I get it's been stop-start and he's been injured and everything on top of that, but just sometimes his touch is terrible. You just really want more. So maybe tomorrow night, it's tailor-made for him to make himself a star, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think everybody would like him to do that. Patrick, obviously, Lawrence has touched on it, goals against Alloa, Hearts, 2 and 3. I think his starts to goals is actually very good as well on that. He had a really good chance, as I've already mentioned, on Saturday. But so far, as Lawrence says, it's probably about consistency when you're a Celtic striker. It's not been that. We have heard Ange Postecoglou mention that he didn't really take a bit of a break there in January, rightfully so. He was in doing a kind of mini pre-season. The manager spoke about him, McCarthy and other guys not having that pre-season and it affecting them, in that first period of the season. What would be your expectations from Giacomakis now? Because I think Lawrence is right. A fit Kyogo there, possibly even Maeda, not in international duty. Probably at this point in time, Giacomakis just wouldn't get in our starting side. For me, it is all about consistency and just showing that. He's shown to me in European games, certainly, I think back to Ferencvaros, both home and away, that when he comes on, he manages games very well. I think he's a very good presence to have up top. But in terms of putting the ball back in the net, what would be you? What would you look for in him going forward here?
As you say, consistency. I think we're probably having a different discussion if his 2 chances at the weekend go in. On another day, he comes away from that game having 2 goals, we win 2-0, and he's the match winner, like he was at Tynecastle. But I don't know. I don't think he's ever going to be ahead of Kyogo unless we sell him. So it's hard to say. As you were saying, he basically didn't have a pre-season. He came in, I think when he signed on, what was it, the 31st of August for Celtic, he hadn't kicked a ball since May. So he was running behind in that sense. But, if he's done a mini pre-season in January, he should be up to speed now. So I think it's only fair to judge him from January onwards. And 2 goals out of 3 games isn't bad, but if he has a tricky performance against Rangers on Wednesday night, it's hard to judge where he is. I would say Maeda's probably ahead of him as well, because Maeda does all that running, does the pressing, and just football relies upon. It's a difficult one. If he just keeps working hard and scoring goals, then I think he'll be a not bad option. But I don't think he's a first choice striker for Celtic at the moment.
No, I definitely agree with you on that one. But again, we've seen some things in the comments coming in saying there, have faith in him. I think we all want to have faith in him that tomorrow night he gets a goal, and that could be the changing point in his Celtic career. I think we all hope that it does happen. Lawrence, when I was on, it seems on a couple matter of days ago, but just before Matt O'Reilly scored, and I was a bit worried that maybe he didn't get over the line and he wouldn't be our player. But my goodness, 2 absolutely incredible performances, especially his debut performance, and he was a standout again at the weekend. This guy seems as if he's really, really suited to our football. came kind of out of nowhere signing and looks as if he's going to be really important to a bit of our play going forward this season.
Yeah, Andy's scouting system, whatever's behind it, seems to be working. $1.5 million. Probably should have scored at the weekend. Chance of falls to him, puts it wide, but when you read the stats and the number of assists, key passes, the corners that are going into the box are now better. Maybe we'll get some joy from them because we don't seem to get much from Carter, Vickers or Starfelt, although they've not been. I think they're pretty low scorers from corners right throughout their career, those two centre halves. But we average about 10 corners a game. We need to be getting more. Whether that's from Giacomakis and from our centre halves, we need to get something from them. 10 corners a game. But we just need to get a better return. But it's all on tomorrow night. And Matt O'Reilly, I think he starts, doesn't he? I think it's going to be McCarthy, O'Reilly, and Rio. Jeez, Rio.
Barring any shocks.
Rio, if he can replicate that Tynecastle goal, that was just outstanding, wasn't it? He's another guy, they fit Angie's system, so whether Angie's looking at the stats and how much analysis is going on it and going, that's the type of player I want, a kind of Moneyball thing, guys that do this. But the amount of money they're costing as well, it is. We've been used to spending 4 or 5 million on players and them not working out. So to get guys in like $1.5 million that are standouts in the only 2 games I've had so far is just brilliant.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Patrick, I'm going to throw this one over to you right away. Kim Nolan in the chat is asking who plays in the 6. Obviously, that kind of holding role in midfield and Abada through the middle tomorrow night. What is your thoughts on that one? I didn't think James Forrest has covered his ceiling too much glory in the past couple of games he's played for Celtic. Very frustrating performance at Tynecastle Wednesday night, and again at the weekend. I think he deserved to be hooked at half time. What be your thoughts on that one? And Lawrence has already touched on there. James McCarthy possibly coming into midfield now that Beaton is going to be suspended for tomorrow evening, or could we have a emphatic return for our captain, or do you think that's just completely mad?
I don't think it's mad. I mean, we've seen against Leverkusen. It might be the worst thing he's ever done, starting those 2 at Leverkusen, because he gave us so much hope for all these other games there, where there's loads of players injured. No, I'm still hoping Kyogo and McGregor will play. I don't know if I'm just living in fantasy land there, but I think if they don't play, I think it will probably be McCarthy and Giacomakis, and then Maeda might come on if we're, not winning in the last half hour. I can see that happening, maybe even the second half. I would play Abada, but I'd play him on the right wing, and then I'd play Jota on the left. But yeah, I mean, fingers crossed for McGregor and Kyogo, because arguably our 2 best players, certainly 2 of our best 3 players. So even if you can just get a half out of them, or 60 minutes or something, I would definitely go with them, because you could end up 2-0 up and then just bolt the doors for 30 minutes. So that's what I'd go for. Yeah,
there seems to be a lot of optimism. Daizan Maeda played 20 minutes there from Japan. Came on, obviously had a lot of chat, Lawrence, around the possibility of getting both Maeda and Tommy Rogic back for this game tomorrow evening. Do you think that's something that's right to do, rushing them back right away? Obviously, we've had our past torment, you could say, with bringing Effie Ambrose back very early from AFCON, I think it was, in front of a Juventus game, and the big man didn't cover his ceiling glory that night. But instead of just options off the bench, I certainly think it's worth doing to try and get Maeda and Rogic back, just to boost our options, because you could see on Saturday, Doak came on, he did very well, I thought, in his Celtic debut, but you're putting trust in younger guys to come on and in these very high pressure environments, whereas 10-15 minutes with a Rogic or Maeda could do us a world of good, especially if we're sitting at the same position maybe on Saturday afternoon.
Listen, big Effie, I think that was his move to Liverpool gone after that UV performance, wasn't it? It was, but no, I mean, I would start Abada through the middle, Doak on the right and Yacht on the left. James Forrest just come back to injury, he's not quite got there. We've got 5 subs now, so there's room in the bench for them to give us options for the boys that returning. I think Tommy Rogic's going to played more minutes than Maeda, so you'd expect Maeda to be a bit fresher. But I get what you're saying about putting pressure on young boys, but I thought Stoke looked great when he came on. Electric pace. He stretched the park a lot more. He was really hugging the touchline. And for me, Giakoumakis is just... It's just not been happening for him, is it? The amount of chances he's been getting, and the ball seems to bounce off him more than he controls it. And I think, I think Jota, Abada, Doak, I think really quick front three. And that's what I'll go with tomorrow.
Yeah, my perspective on that would be Abada, Jota, and Giakoumakis. I think it's what you need to play from my perspective. But I'd like to be optimistic with Patrick there that maybe Kyogo could make some sort of emphatic return like he did against Leverkusen, and possibly even Kilmack in there. Patrick Lanky67's come in the chat to say Maeda should be in Glasgow around 4 a.m. There's plenty of time, and I think he will be on the bench. Now, a year ago, unless any Celtic supporters had followed the Japanese international side ever since Shunsuke Nakamura left the club, I don't think there was too many paying attention to Japan and how they got on and players returning to their club sides. But on that one, we've seen Maeda twice for Celtic. Again, he missed a lot of chances in the game against Alloa. Probably should have had a hat-trick against Alloa. But he took his goal in his debut, terrifically well. Again, on that, is it worth the risk for you to get these guys in? And do you think Ange could possibly put in a few curveball, even Gucci? He's been one that we've heard the manager say on the actual day of the game against Alloa, it's not too bad. And he's come out and said, not too sure. Could you even see a possible return for Yusuke Higuchi?
I'm not sure about the starting 11. I think that is quite a big risk, especially if you're risking more than one of them. I say you're to start Kyogo, McGregor and Higuchi or Maeda. You're talking about 4 players there. Who you might need to change in the first half. I don't think there's any risk in having them on the bench because your bench is 9 players, 5 subs. You like to think you wouldn't have to substitute the goalkeeper. So I don't think there's any risk there. No, I don't think there's any risk at all. I mean, Maeda, to my knowledge, has only played 20 minutes. It's just a jet lag you need to worry about. So hopefully he can get a sleep in the plane, go home, get a couple of hours, and then do the sort of pre-match stuff that Celtic will have them doing before the game at night. I think he'll be more than ready for about half an hour. With all the running that he's used to doing, I don't see any concern there. I'm not entirely sure about the other 3. It's a total mystery with Gucci, Kyogo and McGregor because it's just injuries. So it's just whatever call Ange makes, risk and reward. Whether he wants to keep Kyogo could be ready in a few weeks' time for Bodo Glimt, you never know. So, we need to put our faith in Ange and it's paid dividends so far, so just hope he makes the right call.
Yeah, see, on the jet lag, I mean, it's 12 hours difference, isn't it? So it's really going to be like a morning game for him, a game first thing in the morning. So hopefully it doesn't kick in too much. They could let his body sleep before the game, up a couple of hours before kick-off. Hopefully...
12 o'clock kick-off on a Sunday sort of thing.
Aye, so hopefully it's not too much of an effect, the jet lag.
Hopefully not. And, 20 minutes isn't a lot of football. And by everybody's accounts in the chat there, he seemed to come on and be quite, energetic. Did a lot of running in the game as he usually does. I looked a really good outlet for Japan in that game there. So we'll see what happens. I think his inclusion would certainly give the players a boost. On this one, Lawrence Ed's come in the comments to say he doesn't think the manager will drop Giakoumakis. Trying to get a striker up to speed, the worst thing Ange could do is drop him to fit in a 16-year-old. What would your perspective be on that one? Listen, I don't think it probably would.
I don't think Ange will drop him. I would drop him. I mean, his touch has been terrible. His second touch is a tackle with him. I think the chance that Abada scored, if it falls to Giakoumakis, I don't think we score. The fact that we're trying to get a striker up to speed, we're struggling for goals, and we pull him off, tells you maybe what Ange was thinking of his performance. He's your striker, and we pull him off and put a winger through the middle. It's, I don't think, and Ange has said that he needs to do better. I think Ange will start him, but I don't think he's been. I don't think he's been performing like Ange would have hoped that he's been performing. I think that's probably why he says he needs to do better. But it just speaks volumes of the fact that he was the guy who gets subbed to bring a 16-year-old on and shove a winger through the middle. That's when we're looking to win the game. So if you don't think he's capable of staying on and scoring goals, It says a lot about how his performances have been.
Yeah, either that, or he was just having a stinker, which I hope he was just having on the day. Patrick, on this one from Shane Donovan, I think that's a really important point. We've spoken a lot about Ange Postecoglou and the way he plays football. Shane's come in to say that we need to trust the system. Our players will do the job. We don't need injuries to Maeda, Roger, or Carmack. There's still a lot of the season to go. I know a lot of people are looking at this game. It's 2 points, and it just now at the top of the league. But there's a lot more football to play. There will be twists and turns, I'm sure, in this title race that we're in just now. What would be your thoughts on that one? Because I think that's the important point. Anybody just now in that Ange squad, as threadbare as it is just now, due to the injuries, due to the international call-ups, probably should be able to come in and do a job. But again, maybe what you touched on earlier on, we saw the rotation in the full-backs on Saturday, and you could see the difference. It was quite clear that when Taylor and Juranovic came on, it brought a better balance to the side.
Yeah, definitely. And I think those are the fullbacks you have to go with. I think Juranovic, it's no harm to Ralston, but he's just a superior player. He's a Croatian international. He's faster, better cross of the ball, better defender. We paid $2.5 million for him. I just think that's who you need to go with. With Taylor and Scales, I didn't think there was a lot in it, but I didn't think Scales had his best half of football on Saturday, and Ange seems to quite like Taylor, so I think that's who you need to go for. But yeah, it's important you play your strongest players, and as I said a couple of minutes ago, it'll be up to Ange whether he wants to risk these players. I don't think Maeda is a particular risk, but the other three with the injuries, it's a bit of a concern. But then again, maybe their goalkeeper will gift us a couple of goals like he did Ross County on Saturday morning. So you just don't know how the game will pan out.
No, you don't know how the game will pan out. To come on to, obviously, the timing of this last night, there's been no real chat because Celtic got their business done very early. They've brought in 3 players from the G League. Obviously, 3 players that we've been talking about there, Dyson Maeda, Rio Hatate, and Yusuke Deguchi, as well as Matt O'Reilly up from MK Dons. Don't really know about Johnny Kenny as of yet, whether he's going to be a first team player or whether he's going to maybe go into the Lowland League to play, because get the whole kit and caboodle in terms of the photographs and all that stuff that sometimes you don't usually kind of get. If you're just going into that development side with Celtic, the unveiling of him there. Lawrence, we got our business done very early. We've seen a lot of these players featured for Celtic. We've seen all featured for Celtic, the 4 that I mentioned, out with Johnny Kenny. In terms of when the transfer window closed in August into September and where they are now, are you happy with the position that the squad is in?
Well, so we're a lot better off. We've got a few guys out on loan, that'll get standing in good experience now. Fortunately, we didn't have a couple of boys off the wage bill that we wanted to, but yeah, I think we're much better off. Nicholson and Ange seem to be working the transfer windows well together. Get them in early is better. As you've touched on it, they've already got games, so they're already starting in the system and know what's expected of them. So yeah, definitely pleased with the transfer windows so far.
Patrick, we're not used to Celtic, really having good January transfer windows. I mean, last season, the lateness is, we've got down the tagline there, we avoided last minute mayhem. Last season it was John Joe Kenny, not to be mixed up with Johnny Kenny. I see that John Joe Kenny's actually playing for Everton just now. I don't know how, after watching Nathan Patterson feature for Scotland, because he's a far better player than John Joe Kenny. But on that, last season that was all we brought in. We replaced Jeremy Frimpong going out the door, John Joe Kenny. We got the business done early. There was the McGregor thing, O'Reilly, but in terms of where we are, we've heard the manager say, it was quite settled just now. What's your take on our January transfer window, and are you a lot more happy about where the squad is just now than it was a few months back?
Yeah, we managed to replace Frimpong with John Joe Kenny, which was pretty incredible. I think it was the first January window in about 10 years we hadn't actually signed someone permanently as well. So sort of sums up last season, really. Very impressed. I mean, considering where we came from, was it 10 outgoings and 12 incomings in the summer?
Yep.
And then you've got another 5 in January, so that's 17 players we've signed. And I think, maybe apart from Starfelt, you could say that every single one of them's a bargain. I think you could definitely sell just about every player for more than what we bought them for. That's not saying Starfelt's a bad player. Just, the outlay on him was quite high, 4 or 5 million we spent. So you'd maybe struggle to make that back at the moment. But yeah, I think Lawrence mentioned earlier the sort of money ball technique of sign good players, sell them on for a good price at the right time, and that's what we're doing. Obviously, the football comes first, but under Ange's system, I think this team's more than capable of winning the league. Especially if we win on Wednesday night, it sets us in a great position, even from 2 points behind. I think we're in a great position. So very impressed with the dealings. Angie's done magnificently well. Michael Nicholson has to be given a lot of credit, and everyone else in the background. The only real disappointment is the players that we've still got at the club. I've mentioned all these bargains, and in the background you've got players who cost 5 million who are on 25 grand a week and just a total drain in resources.
Yeah, but we're going to come on to them, and there's particularly two that we spent, £5 million on, respectively each. Just to pick on one of the comments up we've got in the chat here. I've seen what Ange said, but again, I always take, I think, Lawrence, anything that Ange says in the press with a wee pinch of salt. I think that's especially if you're Antonio from PLZ, who got a bit of a pasting on Friday.
What about what he says
when he said he made the sale pretty clear twice? What were you going to say there?
What about what he says to you and Eusebios, mate? Did you take that with a pinch of salt, or is that just where you get your info from?
But Lawrence, in terms of what Patrick's saying there, the squad is what it is just now. Rio Hatate's there, Ideguchi. Hatate looks as if he's going to be probably one of the stick-ons to play week in, week out for us. I say that even though, we're short in there just now. I just think he's quality in there. You see what he's got. Ideguchi's one I think will feature there or thereabouts. And Maeda, I think, is definitely one for that start 11. But O'Reilly, I think just now, Lawrence, what you just touched on this, David Turnbull must be looking at that Celtic side, even Tommy Roderick, and thinking, this is no longer nailed down for me. I know Turnbull had played the most amount of minutes under Ange up to a point, but now, they must be looking around the squad, which can only help players like Tommy Roderick and David Turnbull in terms of pushing on.
It can only help, but also lets us freshen things up when we're getting tired. I know we've had the players to do it at the front three, Ange's kind of favourite changes, but I think Turnbull will struggle to get back in. I think Roderick's probably a wee bit more comfortable. He knows Ange, and Ange knows his strengths a bit better, but the boys that have come in have just done amazing so far. And they've come in for really reasonable transfer fees. Peter must be wondering what's happened. But yeah, you could have said your midfield, you almost picked itself, didn't it? Now you generally get some cracking options in there, which is good. We should be in the place where we're not rushing players back, or we don't need to. We don't need to take a chance on somebody that's 8 or 9% fit, because we've got enough players in there to cover that are good players. It's just competition can only be healthy. I think, what a turnaround in terms of the number of players, but we needed a rebuild. But we're miles ahead, I think, than anyone thought we were going to be. Still in Europe, we've got the first trophy in the bag. We're still in the hunt for the league one. Tomorrow we'll go top. The quadruple's still on, and the squad's been rejuvenated. And I think that the value has risen substantially compared to where it was. Even if Barkas and Ajetti's money's still going down kind of month on month, but Patrick's touching the boys. We've signed them. You could easily double your money on most of them if you were to sell tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when Edward and Ayer, the last of the assets that won the 9, and the quadruple table went out the door. I think we were all maybe looking at who's going to be next, but certainly guys like Kyogo coming in. I think Hatate going to be a real top talent for Celtic. Turnbull, I think, has improved under Ange Postecoglou, no doubt in that for me. And if we get the guys in, Jota and Cameron Carter-Vickers, I definitely think there's selling. But we don't want to punt all our best players just now, Patrick. We certainly want them to be at the club. We certainly want them to be hugely involved. In terms of the rotation thing, though, we've had this injury problem, we've had internationals, but we're still getting the results. Does that say something more about the character of this side? Because you've got guys that are coming in, filling in, and we're getting those results, and we're digging deep. It was great to see how united we were on Saturday when we scored that goal. We've all seen the video of Jota up in at the fans, You see a Bada go absolutely crazy. The roar in Celtic Park was phenomenal on Saturday, and it was almost like Hamilton all over again. I think that would probably be the moment I would compare it with. But a few more empty seats at the Hamilton game, I think. But again, just now on the park and in the stands, and even arguably between the board and the manager, and certainly this transfer window, we do seem to be united once again.
Yeah, the togetherness you can certainly see, because in other games, certainly last season and a couple of seasons before that, and a few people had left. You get that every game, but you could hear in the corner the North Curve still singing, a lot of the fans still singing, cheering on the team. They weren't getting on their backs. And I think that's because you can see what they're doing. They're creating good chances, and we were just unlucky up until the 90th minute. We should have been ahead. You're pointing out Jota and Juranovic going out in the crowd. Giakoumakis ran all the way from the bench up to that corner flag where the rest of the players were celebrating, doing his best Neil Lennon impression. But I think he's more fond of amongst the Celtic support than Neil Lennon. But there you go. No, but I'm not sure if you can say about character. I think that's harder to measure. I think it's the system. The system works so well. We're starving teams of chances. Dundee United never had a shot on goal. Hearts never had a shot on goal in the first half, and it was the first half where we were playing our normal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So trust the system, trust the process, as we all have been doing since June. And the vast majority of players at the club are capable of slotting in there and giving us a 7 or 8 out of 10 performance.
No, absolutely. And there's even players like Beaton, obviously sent off at the weekend, but he's came in but back into his kind of own Lawrence in that midfield position. A player who I think me and Patrick after the game at Ibrox at the start of 2021 when he gets sent off stupidly, thought that was probably it all over for him, and then Midtjylland followed that with the stupid sending off. But he has, came up with big performances, and he's been one of our best players this season. In terms of what Patrick's saying there, it's united. There's a togetherness about the team just now. But one of the things, Patrick's talking about their opposition chances. Alloa, I thought we had plenty of chances in the game that we could have been on easy street, could have been well out of sight. At Tynecastle, there was a point, 2-0 up there, we could have probably went 3 and 4. Hearts just looked to be completely out of it, and our football we just couldn't cope with. At the weekend, we created chances, nothing, that maybe with a 3-4-0, but is there a concern for you that we're not taking chances, or is this just getting back into the swing of things and you do think that will eventually come, and hopefully it might even come tomorrow night?
Well, listen, I think it will eventually come. Manchester system, it is about creating a lot of chances. If you create a lot, the goals will come. There's no doubt. O'Reilly should have scored. Giakoumakis should have scored. So maybe we would have a 3-0 if those two had scored. It's the system works well. We're without a first choice striker. Giakoumakis is struggling to get up to speed. But we've been interrupted in midfield, so maybe all of these things are kind of playing on just how much we're scoring. But we just keep getting 3 points. We just keep going on and we just keep winning. So we just need to maintain that tomorrow. We win tomorrow. Make no mistake. If you're a Rangers player and Celtic beat you tomorrow, you're going, well, wait a minute, it wasn't that long we were ahead, and now we're playing catch up. There's a lot of pressure on them to. I don't think that team's done it before, have they? Played catch up successfully, so. I think the goals will definitely come, in the system that Ange plays. We limit teams the chances they get. Problem is, Rangers are good at set pieces. That's really what we've got to watch out for, isn't it? You'd expect a corner or diagonal ball in. We need to hope that Starfelt and Cameron Carter-Vickers are winning everything in there. I think, if we don't concede tomorrow, I think we win the game.
Yeah, Peter King's agreeing with you on that one. We need to take chances, control the game. I think that's been something that we've did well at times, Patrick, certainly. There was moments at Tynecastle last week, I think back, Hearts were coming at us wave after wave, but we did seem to just hold our nerve in the game, which, I thought was a real strong character test for a lot of those Celtic players, and they came through it very well. Tomorrow evening, in front of a packed Celtic Park with no opposition supporters there, is going to be a completely different atmosphere for those Celtic players. as somebody who has been 750 at Ibrox, even if you do go a goal up, which we did under Rodson Edward, you still make a hell of a lot of noise. Whereas if you opposition goes a goal up, there's no fans there. Sometimes you can be a bit in the, just thinking about, can we keep on doing this? Because it depends on how the Celtic fans also react to that. But again, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst's experience of Feyenoord, I think there's the same kind of dilemma there between the Ajax fans and Feyenoord fans where there's no opposition fans, so he'll know all about that too. That could be something that goes to his advantage. But again, it's got the ingredients tomorrow night, Patrick, with the form Celtic's in, full stadium, no opposition fans, that the job really, Celtic should be able to get the job done.
And I think what you're saying there, if we go a goal down, especially early on in the game, I think the fans need to stay behind the team 100%, because the way that we play football, it's going to be tiring for the opposition. They're going to, if they go 1-0 up, they're probably going to try and defend that lead. And if we're on their backs and the players are making them move and run and chase, and it will tire them out. And I think even then, the advantage is with Celtic, because you can, as we were discussing 5 minutes ago, the togetherness is there to see. It's been there all season. The fans and the players have been feeding off each other, and it's absolutely incredible. So I think, just back the team for the 90 minutes. The system works. If we play the system, if we play well, I don't think we've got anything to fear. I think, the bookies have us as favourites. I think we probably are on the edge of things, but just need to play our football, play our stuff, trust that Ange has a plan, knows what he's doing, players will turn up, and hopefully we can go 1 point ahead for the first time since, I think, August 2020.
Yeah, absolutely. And Danielle's come in to say, good point, what the crowd stayed behind the team with on Saturday, kept trying to galvanise the players. That needs to be imperative tomorrow night, and people just need to, I think, and certainly one of the guys in the camp of, I do trust Ange Postecoglou to get the job done, and he knows what he's doing. Back onto transfers, Lawrence. The only real movement at Celtic was out the door yesterday. The one I would say that I'm most interested in is Adam Montgomery away up to Pittodrie. Seen him featured under Ange, seen him at left back, seen him at left wing. Much to Patrick's worry whenever I mention this, but Aberdeen haven't really had a stick on left back. I think when the past 2 games have changed it, Dean Campbell's been in there, Johnny Hayes has been in there, Fosu Nojo's been in there. It probably looks as if Montgomery might go straight in at left back for Aberdeen, but he goes up there underneath the experienced captaincy of Scott Brown. On Adam Montgomery, how good a move is it to Aberdeen, Lawrence, and how much an influence do you think Scott Brown could have on Adam Montgomery for the next few months?
So anyone that's played at Celtic under Brown says has been a great influence, just his standards and his professionalism. Montgomery needs minutes. I think he came in and he done okay for us. He didn't let us down, but he needs minutes to develop, doesn't he? Aberdeen is expected to win most of their games. It's good that he's got that kind of pressure. Whether he's going to be left back or left wing, who knows? But he might start off left back. But hopefully we've got a development plan like we did when we moved Dyer out to Kilmarnock. We said we want this guy to play at centre half. This is it. So I think it's a great move for him. I can't see a downside on it for us. So hopefully he takes his chance. Because let's be honest, at left back we've got Taylor, Scales, Bolingoli, and Juranovic can all play there as well. So if we do see him as a left back, I think it's probably more valuable to us and him that he gets out and gets some development time. Because hopefully this time next year, Bolingoli's kind of moved on, and then Montgomery's kind of further up the pecking order. If we haven't went and bought another left back, that is, I know there's a lot of chat about that's one position we need somebody better, but it's going to be a pinned on starter, because right now it's up for debate. I prefer Taylor, some people prefer Scales. Some people even say Juranovic is the best left back, but it's one of those positions maybe in the summer we'll be looking at. But for Montgomery, if he goes up there and performs well at it and develops, who's to say he can come down and make it his own.
No, absolutely. And, Ange gives younger players a chance, and I think he'll be keeping a close eye on this one. Patrick, I'm probably doing Johnny Hayes a disservice here because Paul's come in to remind me of his good pro performances. That 750 game he scored in even. So, Johnny was good for the odd goal here and there too. But on that one, Patrick, Montgomery, it was the first link to Kilmarnock, I think, under Dave McInnes. It looked as if that would be an okay move because obviously Kelly are one of those teams, along with Inverness and Arbroath, that are challenging for promotion just now. But it's good that he's going to a team, I think, that's going to be more on the front foot in games, looking to win games, rather than maybe a move to St Johnstone, Dundee, where he would be, defending for his life probably in the majority of games and playing a really different style of football. The move to Pittodrie for me, and up there with Stephen Glass, I can't really see any downsides to it at all. And I think, as Lawrence says there, I think a good run of games here, he could end up coming back in the summer and be challenging for that position.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was an injury crisis that sort of forced him into that position this season. I know John Kennedy gave him a start against, I think it was St Johnstone towards the end of last season.
Scott Brown's last game at Celtic Park, funnily enough.
Aye, 4-0, I think it was. And I've been impressed with him. I think when he first came into the team, he was always looking to go forward, looking to progress the ball up the park. He was wanting to take players on. I think his form dipped a wee bit. He was, making stray passes, losing the ball. Things weren't coming off from him. And I think that happens when you're a young player. Callum McGregor, I think, said to Kieran Tierney that your form will dip. And of course, with Kieran Tierney, it never happened.
Would that be right?
With Callum McGregor, it did.
Patrick Montgomery played against Leverkusen at home?
I'm not sure on that one.
Possibly.
I'd have to check that
out. Well, I'll check it now.
Right,
Sorry
okay.
to interrupt you.
No, it's fine. As I said, I'm a big fan of him. Probably not good enough to be first choice left back at Celtic quite yet, but I was quite worried. I heard a rumour that there was an option to buy for Aberdeen yesterday, and I thought surely not. Turns out that's Urigide at Ostend as an option to buy apparently.
Interesting.
But I think I read somewhere Montgomery's had 18 appearances. Now not all of them will be starts, not all of them will be 90 minutes, so he's probably got less than 900 minutes. And as Alan Morrison is always keen to point out, great Acsom contributor, Celtic by numbers. It's hard to judge a player on less than 900 minutes. So I think it'll be a good move for him. If he can get that number of minutes at Aberdeen, that'll be a good time to judge how he's doing. I wish we get a few more players out on loan, really.
Just checked there, Ralston and Montgomery, the full backs that night at Celtic Park, so they've came a long way, probably, you could say, from that Leverkusen game. A lot to actually unpack there, what Patrick said, about the minutes that the players got, and then over to Big Osazi. Urigide, Lawrence, that being the case, if it is option to buy, obviously, KV Ostend, that's where Jack Hendry went out to, wasn't it? Before he moved to Bruges. Strange transfers at the time, Lawrence. Obviously, we brought Osazi Urigide in alongside Liam Shaw. Don't think they were Ange deals, do you? Because they were definitely in the building before I think probably a phone call had been made to Ange Postecoglou.
I think, they were the kind of right price. I think you're right, they were maybe bought with an idea, look, if they work, they work. If not, we'll be able to move them on and get some cash for them. They don't look like Ange signings. But then again, we didn't expect Tony Ralston to do as well. So maybe now Ralston's done as well. We've got Juranovic in there looking at Urigide and going, well, actually, we can afford to let this boy go. Henry's deal, I know we get the big move, but let's not forget, most of us would have driven him there, to get him out on loan. And, teams want an option to buy. We want it with Jota, we want it with Kamikata Vickers. That's what a lot of teams want. So, listen, I don't think it's going to be a huge loss if he goes over there and they exercise their option to buy. We've got decent cover at right back at the moment. So I think that's maybe played a huge part in us saying, right, yeah, you can have the option to buy. And if we make decent money on it, happy days. Maybe Jack Hendry's helped us bump up the option to buy money. You never know, because they got steal last time. So after his performance over there. But yeah, listen, good luck to him. It's good to get him out playing. If nothing else, he comes back to us with more minutes in his legs, doesn't he?
Absolutely. Yeah. And a player we know that Ange can develop. We've seen that from his track record. Pat it on, what Lawrence said there about, Urigide being a right back, which is what I think he was brought in to be. Johnny Ryan's come in the comments to say he should have been coached to play centre back, built for it. I was actually very impressed with his performance against Real Betis at Celtic Park. I thought he played very well. A strong, big laddie. Didn't miss when he was getting into challenges. Quite strong in the air. Would you be disappointed if we went out to Ostend, put in some real good performances, and then we just pulled the plug, or is this a player that you just think probably wasn't part of the setup, and if he goes, he goes?
Yeah, it's a weird one. I certainly don't think he was a Ange signing. I think we signed Shaw 4 months before we even spoke to Ange. So I think the fact we went for Urigidi as well, I think someone was just keeping a keen eye on Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, they're obviously not first team players now. They both went out on loan. I think Shaw's a better player. I think he's played better. I wasn't that impressed with Urigidi against Betis. I didn't think he had a bad game, but it's like bowling goalie at Motherwell a few months ago. I just thought he sort of slotted in, done okay for 90 minutes, and yeah, he's certainly about to be a centre back. He's absolutely massive, strong, very strong player. Bit erratic, a bit raw, but sometimes these players just need the right coach for a year or two, and I think Ange can definitely be that. And you never know where they'll end up. As you say, I think it's one of the ones you pay a sort of nominal fee. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I think is it Leo Connor left in this window? He was signed. He was signed for Man United 2.5 years ago for about 100 grand.
Wonder kid.
Never played a game. It's these fullbacks from Man United we keep signing. What's up with them? No, I mean, it's difficult to judge because these guys, they play a handful of games every season. They don't look the best, but you just don't know where they're going to end up. You just need to look at Jack Hendry, 10 million to Club Brugge. It's a strange one.
It's a strange one, yeah, absolutely. One of the other bits of business yesterday, Lawrence, is Keir McInroy, a player who was out in Fairman last season. He's made the move to United. Again, is this just going to be one of those players that we've had? He's came through, we get out, and eventually he's gone. Or do you see some good performances at Somerset Park and have him move back to Celtic Park and try to kick on in the first team?
I think they need to be very good. I just think we're kind of well served for players. I think he's probably somebody that's going to move on. But listen, if he goes and he's the star of the league, I'm sure we'll look at bringing him back. But I don't think he's going to make it with us. But you never know. Listen, good luck to him. He's loaned to whatever. Let's go. Hope he goes out and does well. But yeah, it's it's United, isn't it? It's Montgomery's going to Aberdeen. I know where I'd rather see the players getting tested at a higher level.
I think my old music teacher Ian Matheson's came in the comments. So hello, sir. Hope you're doing well. Vic Firth was always the drumsticks that I preferred. So hope he's doing very well on that one. Patrick, McInroy was away to Airdrie, and he's now moved up the division to go to Ayr. That's a wee bit about his ambition, or do you an agreement with Lawrence? Again, I would tend to agree with Lawrence that we're served well in that department. He just seems like one of these guys that we're just, moving about the place until we can get rid of, which, again, it's good that he's getting out and playing football because there's too many players that Celtic have probably have sat there and it's just not went well for them after that. It's important that they're out the building and playing football for them to kick on personally.
Is he a right back, McInroy?
I think he can play full back. I think he can possibly play in midfield.
Right.
More
if he's a right back,
more a midfielder. I don't think he's a right back.
I
think he's played left back from what I remember.
Right. Very difficult for any player to come through the academy and end up as a Celtic midfielder. Callum McGregor deserves immense credit. And, even Ewan Henderson, Ewan Henderson had a lot of fans. I think we were some of them. And
yeah, absolutely.
Ended up at Hibs. But, I'm sure if Keir McInroy ends up at Hibs, by the time he's 22, 23, he'll be more than happy. Yeah, it's just, I'm not going to pretend I've seen Keir McInroy play. It's really unfortunate that these guys are probably quite good footballers, but they just can't break into a team that's on a different level. So, hope he does well at Ayr United.
Just to answer one of the comments coming in here from Timothy Baird, he's talking about Julian coming back into the fold and Stafford possibly as a holding midfielder. My perspective on that one would be that there's too much linkage play in our game between the defence, middle and in front, and I just don't think putting somebody like that in there would do us any justice. We do need that rapid overturn that McGregor does exceptionally well. Beaton kind of hesitated, I think, to take that deeper position even against Hearts. He kind of just hung about the halfway line, just because I think if he went too deep, it would have just completely wavered that off. And even so, the two other midfielders in O'Reilly and Hatate coming wide and try to stretch it a wee bit, while the two fullbacks went in there. So in terms of the shape, I don't think that would work too well for us. But
Julian's
Lawrence,
a right-hand sided centre half as well. So you're going to.
that as well.
He's not played in 13 months, so they're not going to play him at the left-hand side, the centre half, are you? And you wouldn't have Cameron Carter-Vickers to get that. So I have to agree with you, Declan. Starfelt stays where he is.
Yep, absolutely. Lawrence, we've spoken about the loans out the door, but some of the guys we didn't get out the door, and that we've chatted about the whole month of January and months previous, where the likes of Albion Ageti, who I think is still injured after what he picked up against Real Betis. We've still got Ismaila Soro in the building, who we seen come on last Wednesday night. I was very tempted to jump on Sky Bet, Patrick, and stick a wee couple of quid on him to get booked, but thankfully I never, and he didn't get booked, so fair play to him in that one. So
Progress.
Soro, exactly, Lawrence. Soro's still there, Ageti's still there, Vasilis Barkas is still in the building. After, I think, probably numerous attempts to get him out the door, he really's not catching a break, this boy, because there was the photo posted on Instagram of him on a train. I think that was him possibly heading down to Sheffield, and again, that deal collapsed. I don't know if Celtic's asking too much, or people are just going, well, really, we're not really interested at that total price. And volleyballing goalie, who's completely went off the radar. What do we need to do in the summer, Lawrence, to get these guys out the door? Because some will be holding a very large wage packet at Celtic Park, particularly the two guys that we spent £5 million on.
Listen, don't give up hope. There's still some transfer windows open round about Europe, so maybe Bolly will get a move. I don't know. They're a huge. The longer they don't play, the more at risk they are for them to take on. So they're on decent wages with us. They're not going to get those elsewhere, especially not playing. Where we want too much to let Barkas out and go, we want a loan fee and contribution to his wages. Would it serve us just to get him out the door and said, well, look, no loan fee, just contribute to his wages, and it gets 4 or 5 months of football for him. We could have put in a number of appearances we're expecting. With Soro, I think we argued over how much money we were wanting on the option to buy, wasn't it? I don't know much. If we get our money back, I think we'd be doing really well. So it'd been good to get him out. He's the one that's probably closer to the team than anyone else. Maybe Ayeti would be if he was fit. He's going to get a few minutes. But yeah, I think this boys, we just need to cut our losses on. I don't think there's any other option. I'm surprised we just couldn't come to an arrangement to spark us out and playing. Because, listen, if he goes out elsewhere and has a brilliant 6 months, then it lets other people say, look, Celtic was just an anomaly. Look what he done before Celtic, look what he's done after. Whereas now he risks becoming the forgotten man. I don't know, when was the last time he played? October or something against St Johnstone? Or was it a wee bit more recently? Players that don't play in that kind of length of time soon become forgotten and a bit lose their march sharpness, don't they?
Yeah, they absolutely do. Sorry, one of my earphones has run out there. I get the big doo-doo, and I thought, what's that? Patrick, on what Lawrence is saying there, though, a lot of Celtic fans for some reason seem to be surprised to find out that Vasilis Barkas was probably in £18,000 upwards a week. But at £5 million, there was no chance that these guys were coming in. I'd imagine a Yetis and something similar and a cheap wage, and probably that's something we're going to look towards in the summer, because if we're only bring in anybody in top wage or whatever, these are guys that we just have to have off the payroll, because taking up too much money. I do imagine as well, Bolingoli's in a good wage for £3.5 million. We brought him in from Rapid Vienna.
12, isn't he?
Yeah, it'll be something like that, Lawrence. It'll be a good wage. What does Celtic have to do? Because I do imagine that we lined up potential suitors in this window, but we've not got them out the door. What do we need to do in the next window to try and get guys like that out the door and get away? But they're all good as well. It's not going to do them any good to sit in the stands at Celtic for the next 5-6 months.
Yeah, it would just sort of earn them a quick buck, really, if they were to sit in the stands, go to training, pick up 20 grand a week. Wouldn't do their careers any good, though. Yeah, it's a difficult one. Maybe if we wrap up the league early in late April, we can play them in all the games in May. fingers crossed that's what happens. But, otherwise, you're looking at games in the Cup against Wraith Rovers. That's a game I think probably Bolingoli and Sorrow could maybe play. Ayeti, I don't even know when he's back from injury. I mean, if it's a problem, what was it, his hamstring? That could be any period of time, really. Barkas, we don't concede a lot of chances. We don't concede a lot of shots, so it's maybe less of a risk having Barkas in goals these days. But I wouldn't be playing him in any sort of relatively big games. I wouldn't play him against Hibs or Hearts or Aberdeen. Maybe St Mirren or Livingston. We're barely facing any attempts at goal. Just get him a couple of minutes. I think that's probably what we tried to do with Bolly, with Livingston and Motherwell. Just play him in these games where the left back position isn't the most crucial, and maybe a team watching Celtic will come in from in January. That didn't happen, but just need to try and move them on. There's no future for them. I think Bolly's got his fans out there. I'm sure Barkas probably still has some fans out there. Hard to believe, really.
I think you're a bit lenient there, man.
I thought he done okay against St Johnstone. He caught a few balls, which was surprising.
And
but
the goal wasn't his fault either.
But he's still not made a save, has he? Which you really don't want to say about your keeper, do you?
No. But last 5 minutes, I'm very conscious of the fact I don't really like to look at my phone when we're on this. I had to check the Adam Montgomery thing. But a bit of breaking news from Ange Postecoglou. He has confirmed that Dyson Maeda will live back in the morning and could make the bench tomorrow. And Connor Marshall's came in the comments here. Do you think McGregor will play after Ange said he trained today? Ange Postecoglou has said in his presser that Callum McGregor did train today. So here's a bit of curveball to put to his for the last 5 minutes. Lawrence, with that in mind, Callum McGregor in training today, does that mean he starts and gets the captain's armband back against Rangers?
Edgar Davids mask, I think. I don't think he will. I think it's a fairly serious injury. Depending on how good a mask he could get, he could leave himself a target for some robust challenges. As Celtic players that appear to have been this season. So maybe Ange's just kind of playing a wee bit of mind games, saying he's trained, he's in it. But listen, he's the best player we've got, so it's down to Ange. If they think they can protect his face and injury enough, you'd play him, wouldn't you? But it's just how serious an injury that is and what kind of protection they can get for it.
Patrick, curveball, Callum McGregor back in training today and saying in his presser he's unsure about tomorrow. Could the big man throw him in?
Hope so. I think he's a big miss. You can see it. McCarthy and Beaton, half decent players, but they definitely slow the game down compared to Calmac. Not only that, I've never worn one of these masks. Will his vision be affected at all? Because you obviously get peripheral vision. I'm sure that's something that Calm relies upon.
Yeah, I don't think you need to worry.
Calmac's that good. He uses the force. He doesn't need vision.
He's got Willie Collins' eyes in the back of his head. That's what he's got.
That's it, yeah.
But no, I'd risk him personally. We've played other games without Calmac and we've got the win. We've beaten Hearts, we've beaten Dundee United without him in the midfield. Gucci could be back soon as well. Rogic, Turnbull will be back soon. I'd take the risk because I just think he's that crucial a player.
There's a real sense of optimism burst out in this chat, by the way, that the fact that's been announced. People think there's a mixture between Callum McGregor on the bench, loads of people coming in thinking that he starts. I think just around the circumstances, maybe hadn't your Beaton been an option tomorrow night, the big man probably would have started the game. But on this now, for me, if it's between a choice of James McCarthy or Callum McGregor in midfield, I probably am opting for, Callum McGregor. And again,
I think your choice is how much protection you can get on his face. Because if it's between McGregor or Beaton, it's McGregor. It really depends about how much protection you can get on his face, I think. And if they can get, if the doctors think that they can get enough protection on it, I think it starts no matter who else is fit.
Absolutely. He's a club captain. Patrick, to end, I know you don't like doing this too much. Starting 11 prediction.
Oh, it's a difficult one this time. Hart, Jovanovic, Carter Vickers, Starfelt, Taylor. I'm going to go with McGregor, Hatate and O'Reilly. You've got to play Jota, you've got to play Abada, and I think you have to go with Giakoumakis in the middle. Could maybe play Maeda in the first half and take him off at half time, but then if it's still 0-0, you might be tempted to keep him on. It's a difficult one. I'm going to leave the striker blank. I'm going to
definitely not starting. He said he'll assess him in the morning.
right.
I'm going
Okay,
to agree
I'll
with
go
your
for
team on that one.
Giakoumakis.
Lawrence,
I would
what do you think
agree
you'll
with.
play? Know what you would play. What do you think you'll
I would
play?
agree with. I would agree that Ange will play with Patrick's selection now. He's watched the show, but for me, I'd have Giakoumakis on the bench, Abada through in the middle, and Doak on the right. Everything else the same.
You'd go for the.
That's what I would play, but I don't think Ange will do that. I think he'll agree with Patrick.
Yeah, no, totally. Patrick's a man. If John Kennedy or Stevie McManus are reading a couple of tips, get your number over to the two of them. Thanks to everybody who's contributed today. It's going to be a tasty game tomorrow. Hopefully, we're talking about a positive result tomorrow. Again, though, games are coming thick and fast. Motherwell on Sunday. Trip to Fir Park is never easy, gentlemen. We played very well in October there, but it's going to be another tough game. Bowling Goalie played in that game in October. Shock horror. Things you forget about during this season. But we'll see how the new loan boys get on out of their respective clubs. I'll give a wee mention to Lewis Laird. If you don't follow him on Twitter, definitely do. He is the top man to be concentrating on the loan players. He'll give you all the information that you may need on these loan players. So give him a follow if you're not already doing so. And we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be previewing the game and the usual coverage will be on. Gentlemen, I hope you enjoy the game tomorrow. And everybody in the comments as well. And thank you for joining us on A Celtic State of Mind.